Hello, my name is Ari Waldman. I'm a person who stutters. Today is my video Tanya on YouTube, day 27, where I'm going to be practicing pausing. It is Sunday, November 8th, 2020, the 21st day of the Jewish month of cheshvan. Here goes. From Chabad.org, Daily Study, Daily Tanya, Igeret HaKodesh, middle of Epistle 29. Sunday, the 21st of cheshvan, 5781, November 8th, 2020. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain that in addition to this function of mitzvot as garments for the soul, they also serve to unite the sublime spiritual level of Keter with the physical objects with which the commandments are performed. As such, they resemble pillars that connect the highest part of a house with the lowest. V'hinei ratzon ha'elyon, Baruch Hashem mechoneh, v'nikra b'fi chochmei ha'emet, b'shem keter elyon uvo tarach, amudei or v'kulei. Now the supernal will is termed and referred to by the Kabbalist as Keter Elyon, the supreme crown. In it there are 620 pillars of light, 620 being the numerical equivalent of the Hebrew word Keter. Peyud derech mashal kamo sheyesh omdim bevet choma gadol notzvim be'eretz virashehem v'rosham mechover b'takora. That it is by way of analogy, just as in a large brick house there are pillars standing in the ground, and their apex is connected with the ceiling, thereby connecting the lowest part of the house with the highest. Kacha mamash adma keter elyon, Baruch Hashem, hu lamala mibchi et yud, midragat hachachma. Precisely, so metaphorically speaking, the supernal Keter transcends the level of Chochmah, which is the first and highest of the inner Sefirot. Uhu milashon koteret shehu maktir umekayef al hamochim shebarosh shehem b'chai Chabad. The word Keter is related to Koteret, capital, for it surrounds and encompasses over the brains, in the head, i.e. the faculties of Chabad, the faculties of Chochmah, Bina, and Dat. V'ratzon ze nitlabesh b'taryag mitzvot haTorah, v'zu mitzvot derabanan, shirobam kekulam, hein mitzvot ma'asiyot. The supernal will is vested in the 613 commandments of the Torah and the 7 precepts of the sages, practically all of which are operative commandments, i.e., their performance involves physical action, which represents the lower or corporal aspect of the lowest of the 4 spiritual worlds, the world of Asiya, the world of action. V'gam hatluyot b'dibur, and even those commandments such as verbalized Torah, study, that they depend upon speech. Nevertheless, even though speech is more spiritual than physical action, they too belong to the category of practical action. Ha-kaya da kimat svatav hayu have masa. For we have an accepted halachic principle that the movement of one's lips in speech is regarded as an act. V'gam hatluyot b'machashava o belev. And even those commandments relating to thought or to the heart, such as the commandments regarding the love and awe of God, are also considered as physical acts. Hare ha-mitzvah nitna la'adam hagashmi shebe ohes. Davka, for the commandments were given only to physical man in this physical world. Shehave baal b'bechira lehatot levavo letov v'kule. Mashak ha-neshama below guf atzal litzota az, because he has the choice to turn his heart to good and so on. The soul without a body, however, need not be commanded about this. V'nimsa sheha-mitzvot hein ad matai kamo ha'omdim nitzavim marum ha-me'alot hu ratzon ha'elyon Baruch Hashem ad ha'aretz ha'lazo v'chumrayit. Thus, it follows that the commandments, metaphorically speaking, are like pillars that stand and connect from the highest of levels vis-a-vis the supernal will to this material world. Vehein ad matai kamo ha'omdim chilulin shemakifin v'mitlabishin nishmat ha'adam o rucho o nafsho b'sham makim ha-mitzvot. Metaphorically speaking, they are like hollow pillars that encompass and garb with the garment of mitzvot man's neshama or ruach or nefesh when he fulfills the commandments. V'derech omdim elu olin hanara shalo ad rum hama'alot litzarur bitzarur hachayim et Hashem pi lach ha leheyot tzrurot v'mit lobshot be'or haketer hu ratzon ha'elyon Baruch Hashem. By way of these pillars of the mitzvot, his nefesh, ruach, and neshama, abbreviated naran, ascend to the highest of levels to be bound up in the bond of life with God, that is, to be bound up and vested in the light of Keter, which is the supernal will, the highest level of all the worlds. The ayin yud levush zu yochlu la chazot b'noam Hashem v'tzecha tzachot shleim Allah mimalot haketer v'hein pin yam oto admatai. And by means of this garment, they are able to behold the pleasantness of God and the pleasurable thirst which transcend the level of Keter, and metaphorically speaking, are its pnimiut, i.e. the pleasantness of God, and the pleasurable thirst are the inner core of the light of Keter, which transcends all worlds. vagam shenit ba'er b'ma shemitzvot hein pnimiot ratzon ha'elyon Baruch Hashem. Through it is explained elsewhere that the commandments are the pnimiot, i.e. the innermost element of the supernal will, while here it is explained that they are merely the external aspect of keter, the external aspect of the supernal will. Hine modat zot liyudchet riboy b'chai v'mid ragot sheyesh, yeah? Hold on, I'm almost done. B'chol chai v'mid raga mimid ragot hakadosha. Those adept in the hidden wisdom, i.e. Kabbalah, are well acquainted with the multitude of aspects and levels within every aspect and level among the various levels of holiness. Kama b'chai panim lepanim, v'kama b'chai achorim le'achorim le'ein kates v'kulei. There are numerous aspects of face-to-face, meaning since panim is related to pnimiut, that relative to a particular spiritual level, another level is even more internal or nearer to the essence. And there are numerous aspects of externality to externality, meaning the reverse without end. Thus, relative to the individual internal level of the supernal will spoken about here, mitzvot are only termed external, whereas in another context, when compared to a lower level, they are deemed the internal aspect of the supernal will. The Alter Rebbe above called the commandments the 620 pillars of light of Keter. How does this agree with this previous statement that the 613 garments of mitzvot correspond to the 613 soul powers? The Alter Rebbe now answers the 7 commandments of the sages, which bring the total to 620, are not self-sufficient mitzvot, but are branches of the scriptural commandments from which they respectively derive. The soul thus has 613 garments that derive from the 613 commandments. The rabbinic mitzvot included these garments guard the 613 powers of the soul. V'hinei zayin mitzvot the rabbanan einan nachashavot mitzvot befanai atzman shahare kever ne'emar lo tosif. Now the 7 precepts of the sages are not counted as commandments in themselves, for it has been said, you shall not add to the commandments. Ela hein yotzot v'nimshachot mimitzvot haTorah v'hololot. Bahen b'mispar taryag lihit labish taryag b'chai v'kachot shebarnan adam. Rather, they derive an issue from the commandments of the Torah and are included in them in the sum of 613 commandments, which garb the 613 aspects and powers in nefesh, ruach, and neshama of man. It was previously stated that the mitzvot are like 613 hollow pillars that encompass and garb the neshama or ruach or nefesh of the individual who performs the commandments. It is through these pillars that the soul rises to the greatest of heights and is bound up in the radiance of Keter. Additionally, it is through the garment of the mitzvot that the soul is able to behold the pleasantness of God and to experience the pleasurable thirst that transcend even the pnimiot of Keter. This is the end of my video, Tanya, day 27, pausing. Goodbye, have a great evening.